Hey friends and neighbors, this is Chuck out at Sheraton Park Farms. Welcome back to the farm. Been a few days since we've done videos, a lot going on around the farm, but it is time to be thinking about, where they at? Thanksgiving turkeys, if you can believe it. We're up and running with them. Got them out on pasture. We've got a new structure. This is kind of a scaled down version of Joel Salatin's gobbledygook, kind of a roosting thing for the turkeys. So hang around with us. We're going to talk about how we raise these birds. We're going to talk about the gobbledygook feed. Thanksgiving's coming. Man, it's almost the end of September here, and if you're thinking about doing turkeys, you're probably behind. But if you're looking to buy a turkey, now's the time to get your name on the list somewhere, whether it's with us or somebody. But anyway, hang out with us. Let's talk about turkeys. All right, so here's our turkey setup, and we'll show you our new version of a gobbledygook here in just a second. But this is how we manage these Thanksgiving turkeys. There's about 105 altogether in here. Most of them are broad-breasted white. We do have a few broad-breasted bronze because we had a little bit of loss in the brooder and had to do some replacements. So we got some broad-breasted bronze. They're a little behind everybody else, but that's fine. It's going to actually end up working out okay. So turkeys, we keep them in, this is about 4 sections of netting. We are using some of this new Starkline netting. Been really pleased with that. I'll post a link in the description down below on that. Good alternative to Premier One. But these guys are on 4 sections of netting. We're moving them about once a week right now. We have left a chicken tractor, one of the Siskovich style chicken tractors, in with them just for some shelter. But this was the reason that we ended up building our scaled down version of Salatin's gobbledygook. They were roosting on top, and they have tore the tarp all to pieces. And turkeys, you know, it's interesting. In the past, we've had groups of turkeys that wanted to roost, and we've had groups of turkeys that just didn't have any interest at all in roosting. A bunch of these broad-breasted whites are definitely interested in roosting. So, had chicken tractor in here. When we brought the small broad-breasted bronze out of the brooder, because they're younger and smaller, we put them in here and closed them up with a feeder and a drinker for a few days to let the older birds and the younger birds kind of get used to each other through the chicken wire on this tractor, so that they didn't automatically start attacking each other. After a couple days, we opened them up, and as you can see, they're out here. They're integrated fine. Everybody's getting along good. There's no issues, no problems. These birds look good. They've not been picked on. Feathers aren't gone. No injuries. None of that kind of thing. So if you're going to be mixing those birds, I would highly recommend sequestering them individually, but allow them to be able to have access to those other birds through a protected area, like some netting or some hardware cloth or something like that. That seems to work out really good. A couple other things we got going on with these turkeys. First off, we've got an automatic drinker, and you'll see they've got a bunch of rocks down in there, and the reason being, JW came out one morning and a turkey had got in there and drowned. One of these big white ones. He got in there and drowned. So we fill that thing up just with some riprap. We've got an automatic drinker with a float valve, a bowl that goes over to our plastin valve. If y'all remember, a couple months ago, we put in about 900 feet black plastic pipe along this lower field down here and put these plastin quick connects in. So we're just running off of one of those. Comes over to the bowl. As the turkeys drink it down, it just automatically refills. Works out great. That eliminates water chores for us. We're using some long trough feeders in here. These are some that Son and I found last year at a flea market. And you know, lots of folks save this old farm stuff, particularly these galvanized feeders and things, and use them for flower planters, decorate, you know, this whole farmhouse chic kind of stuff, you know, Hobby Lobby kind of deal. A lot of folks will buy these and put them in their houses for decoration, whatever. We buy them for their intended purpose, and they're getting harder and harder to find. So we got some of these, put these long feeders in. We've got some that we made out of PVC. These don't work real good. They're too small. I think this is 3-inch. We probably need about 6-inch PVC with some ends on it. Can't get a whole lot of feed in there, and it's really slick, and they knock it out. You can see there's a whole lot of waste. But these big long feeders work great for their intended purpose. and eliminates feed competition. You can get a lot of birds around them at a time. That way you don't have some birds that are smaller, some that are bigger. Everybody's kind of growing at the same rate, unless there's some kind of physical or metabolic issue with the individual bird. And so this is our gobbledygook, and this is a scaled down version that JW built based on Salatin's plans, and it's modified a little bit. But the deal here is V-frame structure, 2x4 base. I think this is about the same size as our chicken tractors. This allows those turkeys to get up there and roost at night. We did take an old tarp and stapled the devil out of it up here for a little bit of cover, so it gives them a little bit of shade structure. And the nice thing about this is, you know, it's been sitting in this spot for a couple days. You can see we're getting some manure load. So all we're going to do is just grab the rope on this thing. How's he got this thing tied up here? Man alive, at the rope he's got. Just get us a little bit of rope, and we're just going to pull this thing forward to a new spot. There we go. Manure distribution, that's how that deal works. So super easy to move, works out good for the turkeys, gives them some roosting space, a little bit of cover. You know, won't hold a whole lot of birds, but it'll hold some, and gives them a good option there. Another thing on these birds, the cows have been through here. We got some cow pies. They're not scratching through these too awful much like I would hope they would. Those are pretty dry, they're kind of old, but something else that the turkeys can do is kind of distribute that manure. Thanksgiving turkeys, y'all. We're going to be processing these birds at 12, 14, and 16 weeks, so that we have a variety of sizes. For those of you that have done Thanksgiving turkeys in the past, you know you always have a customer that, I want the biggest turkey you got, and you got the customer, I want the smallest turkey you got. Excuse me. And if you're processing them all at that, whatever mark you're processing them at, unless you know you've had some kind of issue or something, those birds are typically going to be within a pretty tight tolerance, a pound or two anyway, pound or two of each other on the high side and the low side. So we're going to do some birds at different intervals along the way, so that we have a variety of sizes for our customers. And you know, I said this in another video, if you're in the northwestern North Carolina, Southwest Virginia, Northeast Tennessee area, and you would like a Thanksgiving turkey, I'll post a link in the description below to place your deposit. This is for the deposit only. Birds are going to be $7.49 a pound. Feed costs have gone up. Birds are going to be $7.49 a pound. Your deposit will be deducted from the final cost on the bird. We're expecting these birds to land, based on the way that we're going to process them, somewhere between, you know, about the 10 and the 18 pound mark. We may have some a little bit bigger, we may have some that are just a little bit smaller, but don't expect them to be much outside of that tolerance. And you know, if you've never had a locally raised, pasture raised, I think that's the trick on these birds, pasture raised turkey, you're missing out. These birds will literally, I ain't kidding you, they'll cook in about half the time. They've got a lot more flavor, they're a lot juicier. It's just a much, much better turkey than what you're buying at the grocery store that's been injected full of water and been processed for 6 months, all that kind of thing. You know, I heard one time, I think it was Joel said this, the USDA will allow companies like Butterball to process these birds whenever they want. As long as they don't freeze that bird below 29 degrees, they can sell it as quote unquote fresh. So when you go down to your local supermarket to buy your fresh Thanksgiving turkey, that bird could have been processed February, March, April of this year. Because you think about it, Butterball and those guys, they can't scale up and do all of their processing of all their birds, you know, within a few weeks or a month of Thanksgiving. From a business perspective, that does not make sense. Those plants have to keep running. They've got to keep employees moving. They got to keep the farm stocked with birds. So, you know, all those fresh birds are not what a lot of folks consider fresh. So if you want a real fresh turkey, even if you're not buying from us, find a local farm, find somebody in your area, because there are people that are doing them, you know. Find somebody in your area that's raising these birds out here on pasture like they should be, where they can scratch around for bugs and grubs and worms and eat grass. Turkeys take in a whole lot of green material. Every time we process turkeys and we open those gizzards and those crops and stuff up, we find a lot of green material in them. They eat a whole lot of grass, and fantastic for your pasture. If you're thinking about raising turkeys, I would highly recommend it. We get better grass growth where we've had turkeys than we do where we've had chickens, and I really believe that that's part and parcel to these birds eat a whole lot of grit, and I think their manure is more mineralized, so we get better grass growth where they've been. We'll move them off of this spot, and I ain't kidding y'all, in 3 or 4 weeks. Now of course we're getting late in the year, but in a couple weeks this will be, from an aerial perspective, if you had a drone or you were taking a satellite shot of this field, this would be a thick green lush big circle where these birds have been. So if you're considering turkeys, good option to add to your farm. We sell a lot of turkey all during the year. We sell a lot of ground and a lot of parts, thighs, legs, wings. Turkey wings are fantastic. And breast. Sometimes folks will want to do a breast on the grill. So kind of overview of the Thanksgiving turkeys. What we're doing, we're going to move these feeders. Feeders have been sitting in this spot for a couple days, so we're going to move these feeders. You get a lot of manure build up anywhere you got water and drinking stations. So you can see here, a lot of manure along the back side of that feeder. Same here. Of course, we're getting a little waste out of these, and we probably got a little bit of a manure load around this drinker. Yeah, getting some manure around the drinker there. So we'll move all this stuff here, set them up for a new spot, and we're off and running. Man, it's the beginning of October. Hard to believe we're entering the 4th quarter of the year. This year has absolutely flown by. So that's the birds. Pretty bonehead move there. I was putting some feed in the feeder and got my foot caught on that wire handle and turned the whole thing over. They'll eat it anyway. That's what farming is all about: making mistakes, figuring out how to do it better, and not spilling the animals' feed out on the ground. But anyway, I think that's going to do it. Like we always say, please keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.